Well, hello and welcome to this week's podcast. This week I am joined by a complete and utter powerhouse, quite frankly. I'm welcoming to the podcast this week Dr. Judy Morgan. Now, Judy's been a vet for 40 years. She's an author of 8 books, no less, podcaster, speaker, and Judy's work is all around education and empowering pet parents through natural healing therapies and reducing the use of chemicals in their animals' lives. Judy's got a range of dog food and a whole list of awards and accolades to her name. So very excited to have you on the show. Big welcome to you, Dr. Judy.
Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, well, Judy and I were just talking off air about how lovely it is and what a pleasure it is to mentor and support people who are growing their business. Now, Judy, you were saying you do a lot, you have a big successful podcast, you go on lots of podcasts, you're talking all the time about how to take more natural care of dogs and other animals. And you don't get the chance to chat business, you were just telling me so much. So you're in the right place today then.
That's great.
So my first kind of area I'd love to chat to you about is you've got a big business, which is super cool. Was this a big, like just a big vision, a big dream, or is it something that's kind of evolved? You know, did you set about having the books, the podcast, range of products, courses, etc., or has it kind of evolved over time? So I feel like it's probably a bit of a backstory to the business.
It absolutely has been an evolution. I never in my wildest dreams would have said that this is what I would be doing or where I'd be. I never would have said I'd even have moved out of New Jersey. I was a Jersey girl my entire life. And now I live in North Carolina. So I went south and it's warmer and I really like that.
I bet.
But it's really funny. And now that I can look back over the past 67 years, I can see how it came about. And frankly, I attribute it all to God and Him saying, you need to do this next. And me fighting back with everything I've
Mhm.
got. No, I'm not doing that. Nope, can't, don't know how, don't want to. And if something just keeps getting thrown at you again, and you finally say, fine, whatever, I'll do it. But it's really interesting. When I was a young child, I was probably 7 or 8 years old. We went to the Science Museum in Philadelphia and they had the future world, and part of the future world was being able to talk to somebody on the phone but being able to see them, so you're like talking to them in real time, kind of like FaceTime.
Mm.
And I remember as a child going home and dreaming up like someday people all over the world are going to be able to see me in my daily life and what I am doing in my house with my animals every day. So this is a dream that I had when
Wow.
I was 8 years old. Here we are. People
Yeah.
see into my world
Yeah.
every single day.
What an accurate
And
prediction that was.
exactly. And so these things, this is how my whole life has been. Uh, when I wrote my first book on a dare, I was asked to join a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, that's my breed of choice, Facebook group. And I said, okay, it was a small group of about 300 people. It was capped. And everybody was asking questions like, what do you use for heartworm preventative? What do you feed your dog? And my answers were always very different from everybody else because I'm a holistic veterinarian. And people were like, who are you? And what do you do? Why do you do things so differently? And so I explained it. And then they said, well, you should write all this down somewhere so that you don't have to keep answering the same questions over and over. And I said, haha, maybe I'll write a book. And that's how my first book got written. It took me a year. Now I write them much faster than that. I'm actually working on number 10. Um, And so that book was totally a dare. And I didn't know anything about writing a book, publishing a book, marketing a book. I didn't know you had to market a book. I thought you write it, people just buy it. Isn't that how it works? It's like magic.
If only.
If only. And so, after I wrote the book, yes, I sold 50 copies to my friends. And I got really mad because people were buying it online instead of buying it from me directly. And I'm like, I make like 50 cents when you buy it online. If you buy it from me directly, I actually, I'll never make the money back that I paid to publish that first one because I didn't know what I was doing. And I paid $35,000 to get it published. I would highly recommend not doing it that way. Um, but in having to promote the book, and now I realize, you really want people to buy it online. You need those reviews. So little tidbit, folks, don't get greedy with the few dollars that you get by selling it in person.
Yeah.
Get people to buy it online, push them
and
there.
And the global impact as well.
The global impact. And so that first book was totally a dare, but then I had so much fun with that one and promoting it. And then I started doing all these in-person events. And that's how my speaking career actually got started. When I was in high school, my parents had bought us ponies and we didn't know anything about horses. So my mom signed us up for 4-H. One of the things you have to do in 4-H is public speaking. So I had to learn public speaking. I had to do my demonstrations. I ended up going all the way to the state level, winning there. So I learned that I enjoyed public speaking. And so to promote the book, I started speaking all over the place. But my very first paid speaking event, a local dog trainer who had brought her dog to me for medical care and realized that I did things differently, she said, I'm going to get together 50 people to come hear you speak. What are you going to charge me for that? And not having any idea that I could even charge for my expertise outside of my veterinary clinic, I was like, I don't know, $50, $100. And I mean, she just about came through the phone for my throat and said, are you out of your mind? Like, you are so valuable. I'm going to pay you $1,000. And I just about lost my mind. I was like, I'm going to get $1,000 to come speak to 50 people. Holy cow. This is a whole
and have the best time
gig
in the process. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. Do you know what's really coming through for me is inspired action and having fun in the process. And fun is literally, I appreciate this is a podcast, but anyone who's watching the video version of this, fun is literally just seeping out of you in the best possible way. Like, you're so lit up telling your business story, and I absolutely love that. And I just think business, it can be fun and it should be fun. Like, I didn't start a business to give myself a job.
No. And there's the old saying that if you're doing what you love and you're passionate about it, you will never work a day in your life. My vet clinics were very fast paced, very crazy busy. I worked in emergency medicine for 10 years, which is even crazier. When you have 70 emergencies in 8 hours and every one of them is something totally different. I think I kind of thrive on that fast pace, type A personality, but you have to have a passion for it. Otherwise it just becomes drudgery. And I had my clinics for a long time, and I actually was in clinical practice for 36 years. And I will say that years 35 and 36 were becoming drudgery. It was getting to the point where it's like, oh, I just don't want to face another day. And it was just literally burned out from being that fast paced for that long. And then the naturally healthy pets, the e-commerce and the books and the coursework on Dr. Judy U, all of that evolved slowly, but it's out of a passion really to change the lives of pets. But in changing the lives of pets, I'm changing the lives of the pet owners. And as anyone working with animals, if you don't like people, you are going to fail.
That is so true.
No horse is going to drive himself over to your therapy clinic. No dog is going to drag himself into your clinic. There's always someone on the other end of that lead line, that leash, that carrier.
The
And
animal just doesn't come with a credit card. You do have to like
wouldn't it be
people.
nice? Wouldn't it
Yeah.
be, except, unfortunately, veterinary medicine, at least here in the States, has ever since COVID, when all the people were locked out of the building. And so you literally had to hand over your pet at the door. And I mean, I have one clinic, I go to an eye clinic here for one of my dogs. I have never met the doctor in person. The dog has had surgery there. He's been there a
Wow.
dozen times. The doctor won't come out of the building and the clients aren't allowed in the building.
And they kept that protocol from COVID.
They kept it from COVID. And,
Mm,
when I said to them, we're not in COVID anymore, and this is ridiculous. And even when we were in COVID, I was in New Jersey and it was very, very strict lockdowns.
mm,
I would just walk out in the parking lot and talk to everybody because this was ridiculous. Why would you hand your child over to somebody and
mm,
have them take the child away and do God knows what to it and you're not there?
mm.
That's horrible. So when I said that to these people, they were like, "Oh, it's just so much easier for us to not have to deal with clients." And I said, "You do realize who pays the bill,
Yeah.
right? Like
And who
you,
comes back or doesn't? Mm,
so my that same dog needed another eye surgery, and I said to the I don't practice now, so I said to the local veterinarian, please don't send me back to that place because I've never met the vet and I don't like them and I don't like the
mm,
way they practice. And she said, "Oh, I can do that surgery here." I said, "Thank God," because
mm.
because I love you and I will let you work on my dog, but I'm not going to deal with those people anymore.
Yeah.
And so this is just a note to anyone who is working on animals. Those are people's besties. That's their
Everything.
children.
Yes,
That's their
their world.
everything.
Mm,
And, you need to be very transparent. You need to be doing the work in front of them. Like when I did a lot of farm calls for equine chiropractic and acupuncture. I
mm,
would never dream of telling the owner, you go wait out in the parking lot while I do this. Like
mm,
that would be insanity. Um,
mm,
so you really have to like people. And, the great thing about when you're doing body work or acupuncture, chiropractic, you're going to be there for a while. The acupuncture needles have to sit there and cook for a while. Well, what are you going to do? Stand there with your nose in a book, your nose in your phone? No, you're going to stand there and have a conversation with the client. And the
mm.
conversation is probably going to revolve around the animal in front of you. And so having that desire to interact with the people is huge, really
Mm.
huge. Like
Oh, I so
big
agree.
part.
And I think sadly, I do see people coming into the industry and for the love of animals, for wanting to help animals with all the best possible intentions. And then the reality, you need to know sales, you need to do marketing, you're selling yourself. You're not just selling
Yeah.
your modality. And as you've said, you need to like people,
Yeah.
not just animals. But when you do get that mix with that passion and you can cover those bases, then you really are flying in business. I totally agree. When you have that passion, it's just such a pleasure. It really,
Mhm.
really is. So it's been for you then, Judy, it's been a matter of inspired action, a download, a calling comes through. Maybe sometimes there's some resistance, but ultimately you take
A
that next
lot.
step forward and forward and forward.
Yeah. So my first uh private label products that I put to market again came to me in one of those same ways. I was at my first time ever at the American Holistic Veterinary Medical Association meeting down in Augusta, Georgia. And because I had published my book and I was trying to get it more well known, I had started some social media pages. And so my people that I worked with in, getting my book known, first of all, they said a couple things. You need to claim your expertise. And
Mm,
I cannot tell you, it probably took me over a year of working with these people to be able to stand up in front of people and say, I am one of the world's leading experts at. And if you cannot stand there and say, I am an expert at my craft,
mm,
people are never going to trust you. And
yeah.
believe me, if you are out there working on animals and getting results, you're an expert at your craft. But
Yes,
being
100%.
able to say that,
Mm,
I like to think of myself as being very humble and not wanting to be center stage. which is really interesting when you're standing on center stage in
Yeah.
front of a bunch of people
When you have a
speaking
successful speaking
and
career.
you're getting paid for it. So, but it was very hard for me to do that. So you need to be able to claim your expertise. And then you need to make yourself known. So how are you going to make yourself known? Well, you're going to get on podcasts. You're going to publish a book. You're going to go speak at events. And let me tell you, I stood in the rain in front of pet stores so many hours, so many times to sell one book or to talk to one person who might become a new client. I don't have to do that anymore, thank goodness. But that's the starting point. It's my poor husband. I drug him 40 events a year minimum. So I was working all week in the two clinics. And then our weekends, like when I close my clinics on Saturdays, people were like, oh my God, you're going to fail. Nobody does that. You can't close on Saturdays. I'm like, watch me, because on Saturdays, I'm out speaking, I'm out doing farm calls, I'm doing all these other things. So, you kind of have to pay your dues and, climb your way up one client, one conversation at a time.
So but it all adds up, doesn't it? And I think that
it adds up.
That one speaking gig in the rain, that one conversation where it felt probably at the time like you were beating your head against a wall.
Exactly.
It's always working, even when you don't see it.
Exactly. And so you're just paying it forward for when it's going to come back to you. But one of the things in my book mentors, they were like, well, you need to get content for your social media pages. I'm like, okay. So we went to this holistic vet meeting, and I took my husband with me, and then I flew in my son, who did a lot of media work. So he brought the big camera and the boom and the microphone. And so we walked around in the event center for 4 or 5 days. Everybody thought we were a TV studio, because we had all the equipment.
Yes, you looked very cool and very important.
So literally people were running up to us going, how do I get on your TV show? I'm like, I don't have a TV show yet. Well, what are you filming? Well, I'm getting content for social media. Great. How do I get on that? I'm like, you stand here and answer questions. So we ended up getting a ton of footage. A lot of interviews talking about different products and things that I'd never heard of, talked to a lot of veterinarians. So that was great, because that just gave me stuff to be able to use on social media for a few months. But one of the people that I interviewed was from New Zealand, and he had these amazing deer antler velvet products. And he was selling directly to veterinarians. And he said, I would love to get these products, different formulations, in front of the average consumer, and not have them have to buy it through their veterinarian. It'll be different. We'll formulate it differently, so it won't be the same. We won't be competing with the veterinarians. And he said, I want you to be the face and the name of that. And I went, I don't know how to do that. I don't want to do that. There's no way I'm doing that. And so after we got home, this guy from New Zealand kept calling my hospital, and my receptionist kept saying, there's this guy from New Zealand on the phone. I'm like, I don't want to talk to him. After about a dozen calls, my receptionist said, I am not putting off this guy one more time. You will talk to him. I said, okay. So I get on the phone thinking like he's going to yell at me, because I never used the video that we did with them because it was so bad. And I said, well, you're calling to yell at me for not using your video. And he said, well, that was originally why I was calling 12 phone calls ago. And he said, now I'm calling because I really want you to market these products. And I'm going to send you the template for the label, make up what you want on the label. And my husband's a designer. So I'm like, well,
Andy,
he can do that. And I'm like, okay, fine. So we sent it to him, and he sent us, 100 bottles of a couple of different products. My dad got real sick. Those products sat in the back of my hospital for months. And finally, one day I walked in the back of the hospital and I looked at all these products and I went, oh crap, this guy's going to send me a big bill for all that. I have to pay for this stuff. Like, he hasn't been bugging me. Thank goodness. I had not tried this product. I had not used one bottle. I didn't know anything about it. I'm like, how do I market something? I don't even know what it is. And so I was the chief veterinarian, still am, for a dog hospice and senior sanctuary. So Michelle came in with one of the dogs, and I said, Michelle, I've got all this product. I need you to try it. Tell me if it's any good. Like, what is this stuff? So she took it home. A week or two later, she calls me and she said, what have you done to my dogs? And I said, excuse me? And she said, all these old dogs that were immobile and just laying around the house, they're literally running across the back fields. They're
Oh my
jumping on and off the
gosh.
furniture. This is crazy. This stuff is like miracle juice. And I went, oh, I might have to sell this stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got started in
With your
having my
product.
own products. It literally was,
Wow.
it was another one of those, here, we need you to do this. And I'm like, nope,
Yeah.
nope, 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 nope. And, so sometimes when you have an inspired idea, a lot of times they come to me in dreams or very early in the
Yes.
morning. You have
Yes.
this
It's
inspired
true.
idea. I used to keep a pad and paper next to my bed so that
Mm,
when I had these inspired ideas that I absolutely would not remember in the morning, I would just write them down. And,
mm.
I'd get up in the morning and there'd be this scrawl that I wrote in the dark and I have no idea what it is, but it would make me remember, oh, yeah. The other time that I have these great conversations and great ideas is on road trips with my husband.
Mm.
And you're locked in the car together for hours or in a plane or whatever, and you just start a conversation and you go. So, have this conversation with a friend who's in the space or whatever,
Mm.
and start asking questions like, in a perfect world, or on my bucket list, or before I die, I want to.
Mm.
Uh, and write down anything, no matter how outlandish it is. Like, I'm working on book number 10. I never thought that I would write book number 1. And then once I wrote that one, I was like, glad that's done. It's kind of like after I had the first kid, I was like, never doing that again.
Oh my gosh, I
Again.
love that. And I think what came through in that story was kind of how you came to that conference with the film crew. Okay, albeit it was your son, but that was very much to me acting at that next level, wasn't it? In taking action as that next version. And my gosh, look where that got you, because you could have just turned up with your iPhone in your pocket, meaning to take a couple of pictures, possibly forgetting because you're just busy. But you really went to town at that
Yeah.
conference. Wow, that is such a story. I absolutely love that so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, my next kind of point question, 3 things that have helped you on this journey, because it really has been a journey. And I knew you'd be such a great guest. I knew there was a good story. So what would you say 3 things that have helped you on your path? Because it's been a real ride from the sounds of it.
Once I started getting a little bit of traction, and I could have started even before I had any traction, is getting to know other people in the space,
Mm,
collaborating with other people in the space. And we kind of have some rules at Naturally Healthy Pets, which my daughter is the COO, by the way. So keeping it in the family. My son started out running my website and doing things with me, and then he went on to bigger things. And my daughter had a different job. She's an engineer, and she quit that job and said, I don't know what I'm going to do next. And I said, why don't you take over Naturally Healthy Pets? At that time, it was in our garage and it was very, very tiny. And we were shipping, a couple packages a day. And she was like, oh, that'll be cool. And
love
she
that.
she has blown it out of the water. But um, early on, especially during COVID, like for my social media, I would I would just do a Zoom interview with people, or I'd have live guests I did everything on Facebook at the beginning. I would have live guests. And then with COVID, when we couldn't go do any in-person speaking or
Mm,
any of that kind of stuff, I was one of the very first people who did an online summit, organized it all
mm,
myself, lined up all the people, uh, and we did everything live. So for a whole weekend, we would have 7 or 8 guests, and we would just sign them on and do a live interview with tons of information. It was no prepared PowerPoints or anything. It was, but in COVID, everybody was starved for something to do,
mm.
starved for information. Um, and so just by collaborating and getting to meet other experts in the space, like I'm going to Australia in the fall to meet in person some of my people that I just idolize that have been so big in the space for so long, much longer than me. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go meet them in person. We're renting a studio and taping podcasts there with, these just, fathers of holistic medicine. Um, and so I would say definitely you want to collaborate, find other people in your space. I mean, we get people reaching out to us all the time that want us to try their products, that want us to say good things about their products. Because and I will tell you, the first time somebody called me an influencer, I was like, a who? What does that mean? And they're like, you say people should do something and then they all do it. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I am. So, everything takes me by surprise. I guess I'm just very naive. Um, so I would say definitely collaborating with other people. If you get invited to speak at an event, or if you arrange speaking at a pet store or a barn or something, see if there's somebody else local that does something maybe not exactly the same as you, but similar, that could be like, if I was in the equine space, boy, I'd put together. So my sister she's a body worker for animals and people. She's a physical therapist for animals and people. She does craniosacral, she does Reiki, tons of stuff. But she used to teach a lot of Tellington T-Touch or craniosacral clinics. And a lot of times she would do them at my barn. So I live in a different part of the country from her. So she's like, great, let's get 50 people together. We'll, charge them all to come to your barn. But then we would find other experts too. So maybe you can find a saddle fitter that is willing to come, or a chiropractor who's willing to come, so that, what started as you being able to teach a few people. Now you've got a big production and you've got more draw because you've got other people collaborating and teaching. So maybe it's just a riding instructor who's going to do some sort of seminar during your event. And you don't have to have a ton of people. If you only get 20 people to sign up or 10 people to sign up, do it anyway. If you get one person who signs up, do it anyway.
Yeah. It changes you. Running events, running webinars, challenges, whatever you call them, conferences, you come out a different person. So it always is my clients.
And you're going to learn from it, and don't worry about the mistakes. Yeah. So I was one of the first people who started embracing Facebook Live. The very first one I did was like, I was with a mentor who was coaching me for the day. And he said, have you heard about this Facebook Live thing? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And I was doing a lot on Facebook. And he said, well, it's a new thing. You push this button and then it's like FaceTime. You're talking to everybody live. Let's try it here in my office. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. He said, it doesn't matter. So I went live, and all of a sudden all these people are signing on, and I'm standing there. I'm like, I got to talk about something. And so we ended up using Facebook Live. This is actually what built my platform. We sat at my breakfast table in our house, and we had 10 dogs at the time. And we lined up all the dogs on the bench at the kitchen table. And as I was eating my breakfast, my husband was filming and I was talking, and we did Facebook Live, and we named it Breakfast with Spaniels.
Oh, I love that.
We did Breakfast with Spaniels at 8 a.m. every single morning for 7 years straight.
Wow.
Every morning. And if we were on vacation, we did it from the beach. Sometimes I didn't have Spaniels. We did it from the top of the Aspen ski mountain. I don't even ski. Like wherever we were, we made sure 8 o'clock every morning. And if for some reason something happened and I couldn't be there, my husband would do it. And people loved it when he would go on. He would have, he said it was two old men. He had our old spaniel, Charlie, who would sit next to him, and they would sit there and pontificate. But that was actually what really put us on the map, Breakfast with Spaniels, because we were committed and people knew they could count on it every single morning.
And that consistency, it does matter. It's not about the perfect polished video. It's, messy is fine, but consistency
messy is fine.
Key.
I was at a publicity event, and we were all learning different things we could do to get publicity.
Mm.
And so one of the girls in the group, she had never done Facebook Live. And I said, look, I've been doing Facebook Live for years. This is so easy. I taught her how to do it. So we're sitting at lunch and my phone pings. And I realized she's doing her very first Facebook Live. And I pick up my phone and look at it. And I don't know how she managed to make this happen because I've never seen it. It was upside down.
Oh, I've seen someone do that before.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how you're doing. So I'm sitting there watching it and we're all cracking up. And she's, sitting 2 tables away from me. And so she does her thing for like 5 minutes. And when she finishes, I said, do you realize your video was upside down? And she's like, no. And so she's like, I have to take it down. I have to take it down. I said, don't you dare take that down. You own that. You own that with all your worth.
Yeah.
Like the next time you go live, you go, ha ha, this one's right side up.
Yeah.
And like, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. You have to have that humility and just say, that was really fun. Don't know how I did it. Don't think I'll ever be able to do it again. Like one of my computers, very weirdly, my camera will not record in color. So
that's quite weird.
It is like, I don't know how it did this. So when I do something live on that computer, it's in black and white.
Yeah.
And so it becomes just this big joke. I'm like, well, this is my throwback to the 50s, we're back in black and white. Yeah. How cool is this? And it's just fun because it's different.
Yeah.
And it's a story. And, anytime you have a story to tell, then the story is, part of the project.
And you're owning it. And I think the thing is in business, you 100% will make mistakes. You will send the wrong link. You'll do all sorts of things. And I think if you're really worried about that, you're never going to grow. You're never going to move forward. And embracing it is part of the journey. I remember the first time I sent like totally the wrong link. I think I sent like event details to something that had happened like last week to hundreds of people. And then all these people are emailing going, are you okay? Did you know you sent the wrong thing? And then you have that initial, oh my gosh, I feel like such an idiot. And then you're just like, oh, but it's cool. Now I've done that. I'll probably do it again. But actually, I'm really glad I've done that. I've fallen off the horse, so to speak, because I've survived. And I can press on in the future. So yeah, making mistakes is massive. So collabs have really, really helped you. We've touched a bit on mindset, and mindset is a key part of the work that I do for supporting equine and canine practitioners, because and identity shifting, as we've spoken about, you need to be the person that can hold that success. You need to believe you can have it, because otherwise all of those amazing skills and talents are not going to get you there.
Yep.
What would you say has really helped you mindset wise on your journey?
Couple of things. One, integrity. Never compromise. Never compromise your ethics. If somebody asks you to do something and you are, ethically going, I don't know if I should do that.
That's the sign.
That's a sign. The other thing is only work with people who have that same level of integrity. If you see someone who on social media is very negative, putting down other people, you do not grow your business by stomping other people into the mud. You grow your business by showing how good you are at what you do, and also that you're willing to say, I'm sorry when you screw up. You're willing to say, I don't know. If you don't know the answer, you can promise to go look for that information. But we have cut ties with companies that have not had the level of ethics and integrity that we want. And I think that is critical, because you want people to trust you. You want people to say, oh, when you tell me that, I know that you firmly believe it, that it is the truth as far as you know. And, like somebody once said to me, a good friend who owns a pet food company, and I said to her, why did you make this form of food? Because one, it's very, very expensive. How many people are going to be able to afford it? And is this really what you want to promote. And her food is amazing. And she said, my food is expensive and maybe only 1% of the pet owners will be able to afford it. But guess what? There's 180 million dogs and cats in this country. 1% of that is a lot. So here's the thing. You are not competing with other people who do what you do. You are not competing with other people in the pet space or the equine space. Your only competition is yourself. And you just need to have the highest morals, highest ethics, highest work ethic, and instill that trust into people. And then you can work with others in the space. I don't practice anymore, and I do very few online consultations because I just don't have time. I have a lot of colleagues that I am happy to refer to. And again, we vet those people to make sure that they're at the level that we want them to be. People will send me emails all the time. What do you think about this product? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't carry that product. I haven't researched that product. Sometimes I can just look at the ingredients and go, well, I personally would not use it. Here's the ingredients I don't like. Or, well, the ingredients look good. I don't know anything about their sourcing. You might need to ask more information. If someone sends me products that I really don't like, I will be happy to tell them I am not interested in carrying or promoting this particular product. But I'm not going to go online and bash them. I'm not going to put them down. It's really interesting. I work pretty closely with a pet food company called All Provide, and they make raw and gently cooked dog and cat food. And long before I met them, I had a friend with a Cavalier who started sending me emails, and she lived very close to this new company. And she said, what do you think about these ingredients and these recipes? And I looked at them and I said, well, they're good. I mean, their sourcing looks good and everything. If it were me, I would make these changes. And so these emails went back and forth over about a year. And on our way to that VMA meeting in Georgia, this company's in Georgia, I said, hey, we're going to swing by and meet these people. We showed up on their doorstep at the pet food company with my son with the camera and the boom, and my husband knocked on the door and said, hi, we're here to see your facility and to tour and to talk to you about your food. And they were so gracious. They opened the door and said, yeah, we'll give you a tour of the whole facility. We'll sit and have a conversation. We ended up spending the entire day there, filmed everything. There are very few pet food companies that are going to allow you to do that. And as we sat and talked, they said, oh, by the way, all those emails that have been going back and forth all year, because my friend was sending them to them, they said, all the changes that you recommended that we do with the food, we did. I went, excuse me, you don't even know me.
Wow, I love that. My gosh, that is powerful, isn't it?
Yeah. So I now work very closely with them. We are very well aligned.
I was just going to say, totally aligned. Yeah, talking about on the same page. I love that. So integrity and collaboration, and I think the spirit coming through for me, Judy, is when you don't need to be scared of working with others. It's such a privilege. It's how I put my entire business, is collaborating with others, companies who are much bigger, companies that are much smaller, and everybody else in between. And what a joy it has been to then help all those additional people along the way.
Oh, absolutely. I love, like, some of the companies that we carry now that have grown exponentially. We were the first ones to see their products, say their products are good, and want to carry their products. So many companies that we work with, they've had to go out and buy bigger production spaces, bigger warehouses. They're like,
I love that.
We're not prepared. We weren't prepared to grow this fast. And I'm like, sorry, your products are good. It's just like, but it's been really fun because now I have this huge group of friends. And as a matter of fact, a few of those companies are actually moving here to North Carolina so that we can all, because we've all become such good friends, It's like, well, we all want to like do stuff together. Our
Yeah.
Thanksgiving table usually has people from the companies that we work with sitting, they
Oh, I
they
love
they fly in
that.
from around the country because it's like,
Yeah.
well, it's time to
So much
celebrate as
more than
family.
business. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
And
So
again, that's back to fun. Back to
yeah.
fun. It's
Yep.
everything's got
All
to
of
be
my
fun.
friends now are, people in this space. And actually, my husband's and my best friends, we met through our dogs. They live about 3 hours away. And they used to drive their dogs 3 hours each way to come to my clinics. And now we
Wow.
travel the world together. And
Oh,
so, this is
amazing.
this is how you meet amazing
Yeah.
people that will be part of your life forever.
Yeah.
And especially when you have those ground rules of ethics and
Mm.
integrity, the people that you're going to hang out with are going to be amazing.
Yes, totally. And aren't we so lucky that the internet presents us with that opportunity to meet these amazing people every day of the week? We are so lucky. Well, Judy, I'm going to ask me one final question then. What would be your advice for our listeners? Anybody thinking about taking the next step forward in business, maybe sitting on an idea? That's something that a lot of people come to me with. They've got tons of ideas. These ideas have been swirling around for years potentially, and they're just not quite ready to take that next step. What would be your advice to anybody listening in that position?
I see this in my book group too. People who are like, I'm writing this book, and 10 years later, actually, my husband's one of them. He's been working on his book for 10 years. I'm like, honey, at some point, you got to pull the trigger. And actually, on my first book, I worked on it for a year. And my husband finally looked at me. He said, if you don't hit send on that manuscript, I'm doing it for you. Like, I'm done. Like, we're done. Like,
We're
make it
done. We're
happen.
collectively done.
We are collectively done. And so you really have to take that first step, and it can seem very overwhelming. So break it down into little itty bitty bite-sized chunks. And so, one of the things that I learned is the rule of five. And so you get little post-it notes. They actually make them that say the rule of five, and they have 5 lines on them. And on those little notes, you write down 5 things that you are going to do today that are going to move you forward toward whatever that goal is.
Mm,
And you may fill 100 little post-it notes, and then you stick them all on the wall. And every day you pull one down and you make sure you do those 5 things. So maybe you need to
mm,
make 5 phone calls. Maybe you need to check 5 different websites for information. Maybe you need to find an accountant. Maybe you need to find a
mm,
lawyer. Maybe you need to find a web developer. And I will tell you, if you don't have a lot of money to start, you can find people who will do almost all of those. Maybe not accountant. Well, maybe not a lawyer, but you will find people to do things for free.
mm.
So when I wrote that first book, I didn't know what to call it. So on the Facebook page with the spaniels, I said, what should we call this book? And the title came from one of the people on that page. I needed an editor. And I ended up with 3 people who were editors for a living, who volunteered to
Oh my
proofread and
gosh.
edit the book at no charge.
Mm.
Well, I gave them a free book. Yay. It cost me like $7. So you will find people that are willing to help you.
Mm,
You will find, look for millennials because they're really good at all this internet stuff,
mm,
and tech stuff. Like, I don't know how to post my books on Amazon. I don't know how to do the ebooks and that, but there are other people that do, and
yeah,
they're
and you
willing.
don't have to know how to
You
do
don't have
that.
to know. I
Yeah,
don't want to know.
no,
It would be frustration and bad words coming out of my mouth, and I
yeah,
don't like to do that.
and it wouldn't be
So
done fast either.
no. So, I mean, now I have somebody that I pay $1,500 a book to get it
Yeah,
done. And I'm like, totally worth it to me. But if you don't have
yes,
$1,500, there's somebody out there who knows
yeah,
how to do it, who will do it for you. Don't be afraid to ask.
mm,
One of the things that Jack Canfield says is be an ask hole, which is ask, 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 and
mm,
then figure out what you can do to repay that person. And it may not be monetary. It may be taking them out to dinner. It may
mm,
be giving them a copy of the book. It may be a free session, bodywork session on
yeah,
their animal. But there are people out there who would love to help you accomplish whatever that is. I mean,
Oh my gosh, I love that.
this business started in our garage. I was at work all day. My husband would take orders off the internet and fill them and go walk over to the post office with them. I'd come home at the end of the day, walk out in the garage and go, this is my inventory system. That looks a little low. Probably should order a dozen of those. Oh, crap, we're out of that one. Should have ordered that yesterday. Okay. That's how it started.
And it got you started.
It was just very low key. It started with, we took one car out of the garage, and then it got to the point where both cars had to leave the garage. And now we have over 10,000 square feet and need a lot more.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh, I love that. The rule of 5 is fantastic. I'm a very visual person. I can see the post-it notes. I'm going to do this myself.
I have a big whiteboard now.
Yeah.
I have a huge whiteboard that covers an entire wall in my home office. And so this year I am speaking all over the world. And of course, everybody wants a different topic. So I'm like, could you all just pick the same thing? And I could just prepare one thing and, run around and say, no, can't do that. So, when I sat down last fall, God, I can't believe I'm almost a year into this. Last fall, I sat down and I put them all up on the board with the topics and the due dates. It's like 18 talks. So that's 18 PowerPoints, 18 sets of research that has to be done, 18 manuscripts that has to be done. And they're just all listed in order of when they're happening. And I'm down to the last 2. So I'm pretty excited about this, but it's been a long year of staring at that board. And I'll tell you what, it's in my face all the time. I can't ignore it. And so anytime I walk into my home office, it's like, well, I'm sitting down and I'm going to work on this.
And it gets it done.
And it gets it done as such like a sense of accomplishment. Like I usually call my husband into our home office and go, honey, I'm going to check a box. I'm going to cross off a box. Like we're having a celebration.
Do a Facebook Live as you check a box.
I should. It's like, this is a celebration every time I get one done.
Yeah.
Because, and when I look at it as a whole, it is absolutely overwhelming.
Yeah.
And the only way that it gets done is to sit down and pick it off in little tiny bite-sized chunks. And so I look at my week ahead and I go, what hours of the week do I have available? Where can I say I will be sitting in my home office for a 4-hour chunk of time? And then I kind of plan out, okay, well, I have 4 hours. This is the talk that I need to get finished right now. So my goal for that day is to finish 15 PowerPoint slides or whatever the goal is. So that by breaking it down in those little bits, it's not as overwhelming. And then every time you get to check off a box, like when I was in vet school, this is how crazy I am. I'm a list person. Like I have to have lists for everything to happen in my life. When I was in vet school, the schedule was so crazy that my list included things like take a shower and eat a meal. Because if I got to check it off the list, I had accomplished something.
Yeah, and it's a huge dopamine hit, isn't it? We love ticking a box. I love that. Oh, amazing. Well, Judy, I could talk to you all day. You've been a fantastic guest. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. I just hope that your world speaking tour does include the UK at some point and I get to meet you in person.
I was there 2 years ago.
Oh, well, what's your 2027 plans?
2027, I only have one scheduled, and that's our very own event in Dallas, Texas. This year, I'll be in South Africa and Australia and New Zealand and all over the US. It's kind of a crazy year.
Oh, it sounds super exciting. Well, tell everybody where they can find you. We'll have all the links in the show notes as well. Where's the best place to find you?
Almost everything on our social media and our website is Naturally Healthy Pets. So naturallyhealthypets.com. You can also get there at DrJudyMorgan.com. It all goes to the same place. But we just have a ton of information all about natural pet care. And for the equine people, Dr. Joyce Harmon is one of, I would say, probably the top holistic equine vet in the US. And she's done a couple of courses on Dr. Judy U on horses. So for your equine
Oh,
people,
fantastic.
Joyce Harmon is just a wealth of information. She's a homeopath, she's an herbalist, she's an acupuncturist, she's a chiropractor. She does everything. She's amazing.
Oh, fabulous. Well, we'll be sure to include the links. And thank you so much for joining us again. That was
Thank
been
you.
fab.